What's up, everyone? We're back at the Sports Biz Report, Season 2, Episode 11 here, and today I'm joined by Nebi Mema, his first time on the podcast, and we're going to talk about an issue that happened a couple weeks ago, but we both have some opinions about it, so we want to talk about it, and that's about Marcus Smart. For those of you who don't know, he's basically one of the best players in the nation in college basketball for Oklahoma State. And there was an occurrence against Texas Tech where he pushed a fan, and basically the repercussions are he is suspended for 3 games. I guess we can start off with his reaction when pushing the fan. Do you think, obviously what he did was wrong.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything else going on there with maybe what the fan said? Or
I think the fan said something much worse, because afterwards the fan, what was it, Jeff Orr, if I'm reading it correctly, he said that he called Smart a piece of crap, which, if I were him, I would say I called him a piece of crap to lessen the blow, because I think, personally, I thought he called him a racial slur, because I'm sure people like Smart, a superstar, hears that language all the time, piece of crap, etc., but they don't push fans all over the place.
Yeah, it's a good point, because, like you said, a player of his caliber, especially with his popularity rising this year even, you would expect him to be used to something like that. So because he pushed a fan like aggressively, physically, you got to think there was something more said.
Yeah, something was ignited. I don't know if that's the right term to use. Yeah. It obviously hit close to home, per se. So, personally, I think racial slurs don't. And everyone's been in a competition, whether it's sports or really anything. If it's the heat of a moment, sometimes he didn't even have time to think, really, if you think about it. But second topic I really want to talk about is the perspective of Texas Tech now. So this guy, he's obviously a season ticket holder. He's a booster. What does this have any impact on Texas Tech? In my opinion, zero, because like all major collegiate programs, they rely on their boosters heavily. So you might see him, because I heard him announce he's not going to travel to any more games this season.
Yeah.
It's almost the end of the season. Who cares at this point? But like Texas Tech, like most other programs, they pretty much rely on their boosters, so you're going to see zero repercussions.
Yeah, and I think that's actually, I agree with that, but I think that's sad.
Yeah.
Because, this is a grown man, and fans who sit around him have said that he's done this before with other players. And he's paying money for Texas Tech, but that also means he should be representing them.
Yeah.
It's not hard to not stay out of the media as a fan. It's pretty hard to actually get into the media as a fan.
He's shining a bad light on the program. And like you said, people around him have said he's did things like this. Even former players. The former players in this ESPN article that said when they played in the Big 12, he said some nasty things to them.
Yeah.
Too, so.
It was obvious, watching that video, it was obvious, Smart turned around, knowing he had heard something. It was so obvious that he was provoked to do that.
You saw the fans around him trying to help Smart up, and then he just quickly turns around. Smart is 19 years old, so if I were in a situation, someone calls me a piece of crap, all right, get out of my way, I'm just going straight to the court. But he calls me a racial slur, I turn around.
Yeah, because that can hit home.
Personally, I would do what he did, push him.
Yeah, I can't really say I want to do it either, because in the heat of the moment, that's tough. So now I want to go on to sort of what happened afterwards with, he apologized, Smart apologized during a press conference, and in the end, he got a 3-game suspension. I guess first question, do you think it was fair, that suspension?
I don't know about the length. Can't really comment on length, but the fact that he got suspended, yes, because obviously you can't push a fan no matter what. I see people comparing this ridiculously to the Ron Artest Mouse in the Palace. That's a whole new topic for debate later. But he shouldn't have pushed a fan no matter what. And he did, like you said, heat in the moment. But, he deserves a suspension.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting you talked about the length, because I also think that's an interesting topic.
because I thought he handled everything afterwards as well as he could have. He apologized to the fan, to his teammates, his coach, the university for not acting as he should, and he handled it right. And I guess 3 games. I mean, that's sort of right on that brink of, is it too much or is it not enough?
Well, that's why I think it's so remarkable is that I thought that Orr said a racial slur against Smart, and the fact that, like you said, he apologized to the university, that's what I thought made it so remarkable.
Yeah, yeah, it really was. I mean, and even his coach, the Oklahoma State head coach, had spoken so highly of Smart and how much this really hurts him. Like, he's not really showing it because, obviously, as an athlete, you don't really want to show your vulnerability to the media because who knows what they're going to do with it. But I think you could tell, even like him sitting on the bench or just through that press conference, he really is upset about this, and really, like, if he could go back in time and change it, he would do it in a heartbeat. Yeah. And I think that's where we go with him in the future with his, draft stock in the NBA. Will it hurt it, or maybe will how he handled it actually, I wouldn't say help, but sort of just leave it as it is?
In the short run, with ESPN and CBS Sports, they'll say it'll hurt, but he's 19 years old. It won't hurt him in the least bit, unless he pulls another Malice in the Palace. That's the only way his draft stock will hurt him. But I think general managers will see him as a 19-year-old kid who just, in the heat of the moment, pushed a fan. It's not going to. In fact, some general managers want that passion. You want to see a guy just walk off with emotionless. But
yeah, I think that's a good point because, as you said, like the CBS's, ESPN's, all the media outlets, they're going to try to make it seem as if it's going to hurt his draft status, because that's media. Anything is negative, But I think not only how he handled it, but for him personally, learning from it and learning how to handle it, because he's going to have situations again, because he's a good player.
The NBA will be much worse.
Exactly. But I think the fact that he's went through it, sometimes you got to fail in order to learn, and this could be a situation where he could really learn a lot, and it could really actually make him stand out and above some other prospects, really.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And then, the final aspect of this I really want to touch on, not really in the media, but it's just something I'm interested in. When I read that they were comparing this like NBA athletes and, all this stuff, I started thinking about how, the NCAA preaches amateurism, especially in the topic of paying their athletes. So if they're preaching that these kids should be educated, they're only 19 years old, they're here to learn, is it fair to put all this pressure and really harsh is a term that can be interpreted, but, a 3-game suspension on this 19-year-old who really just 0.3 of a second. That's all he did.
Yeah, the NCAA preaches how we shouldn't pay players because they're amateur athletes, and yet we see them people trying to compare Smart to Ron Artest, like you said, Steven Jackson, compared to professional athletes. Well, if you're going to compare them to like professional athletes, you can't compare them when in the Smart situation, then not pay them because they're quote unquote amateurs. You're talking.
Yeah, it's sort of just another example of how college sports they're never, you never know what's going to happen. I hate to use such a harsh term, but it's sort of fraudulent.
Yeah.
They're frauds. It's hypocrisy if you think about it.
The whole collegiate body, the NCAA, is just one big fraud.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I don't know. Especially in the time we're in now, with so much being thrown at the NCAA, there's so much controversy going on. It's interesting that this would happen right now.
Yeah, but even then, so compounding with the fact how was the Northwestern unionizing, and then we have the whole EA video games, how they canceled they denied it was unlike
the Ed O'Bannon case.
Yeah, it's all about the money for the NCAA in this case, and they don't want to give a single cent to the players.
Yeah, I really could not agree more with you on that one. I'm not a big fan of the NCAA as well, but we could go on that for a while.
Podcast.
Yeah, that could be a whole series. in its own sense. But we're going to wrap it up for episode 11 here. We talked Marcus Smart. It's a really interesting story, and even though there might not be as much just right on the front end, there could be more implications in the future from this reaction. So hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for our next episode next week. I mean, that's pretty much how it goes.